Hello there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Um, I, I've I've seen on social media. I'm on Facebook and MeWe. I've seen a lot of people asking advice because they just started running Dungeons and Dragons and they have questions, and that's fine. Uh, Anytime you have a question asked, there's got a lot of people out there with a lot of experience, and you're going to get a lot of probably a lot of different answers, but you're also going to get most of them as good answers. Okay, so please ask questions. We need game masters, dungeon masters in this game, and we need players who play. Okay, a game without players is pretty much useless. So the more the merrier in this case. Um, so what I try to do is I've been playing this game for a long time, over 40 years. I've been running it for over 40 years. So I try to give advice in a lot of these. So here's another one of the advice things. This is on the free market, and I talk about this a lot in my political videos, but it translates to Dungeons and Dragons as well. Obviously, you don't want to get the political bickering, but the free market itself translates. And here's my point. One thing many dungeon masters overlook is the effect that adventurers have on the local economy by spending tons of gold in the shops. The economy of a set area is pretty stable. It could be a great economy, a crappy economy, whatever. But it's pretty stable wherever it is. Okay. The massive influx of gold that these players a group goes on an adventure and they come back with a mountain of gold, as it were. Each one came away with a wagon load of gold. Well, then they go, oh, well, I need better armor. I'm going to get the armor, get some magical armor, magical swords, whatever. They're in these shops spending all kinds of coinage. Yeah, the town notices because the market notices. And what I mean by the market is the other shop owners see it. If a guy comes into your shop and he looks fairly haggard and he needs to buy a weapon, and say you're a weapons shop or whatever, and this guy doesn't look like he could really afford much, you show him the stuff that he can probably afford. Somebody comes in and he's dressed like the Aga Khan, he's got gold rolling off of him, he's got one ring he's wearing, will buy your entire shop 10 times over. Yeah, the price is going to go up. Why? Supply and demand. Okay. The massive influx of gold that the players spend in these shops will cause spikes in the local markets. A swordsmith who knows that everyone has lots of disposable wealth will raise his prices. Why? Basic economics. If they can afford it, you can charge it. Okay? And I know this sounds like kind of a cutthroat way to do it, but this is how you do business in medieval society. That's the way it is. If there are 4 horses for sale at the local stable, and a stableman knows that all the player characters have paid thousands of gold pieces into the local economy, those 4 horses' value, the price will increase. Supply and demand. A broken down nag suddenly becomes the prize broodmare. You see what I'm saying? Because he can. I was playing in a game years ago with one of the best dungeon masters I ever played under. His name was Art. Great guy. Art was one of those guys who could sit down for a month and design a campaign that your group could play, and it would take years to play it. Okay. I wish I could still play with him. I don't know where he is. My point is, I lost track of him years ago. I was in the Air Force when I played with him, so I kind of lost contact with him. But the point I'm getting at is, this guy ran a really great game. And he made, it wasn't a mistake because he had planned it, but what happened was, in the course of the game, we were underground in a dungeon crawl, and we found a vein of mithril. For those of you who don't know what mithril is, watch Lord of the Rings. Mithril is a naturally mystical metal. It grants a +4 in game terms. It grants a +4 naturally without any magic applied to it. And plus it holds enchantments well. So everybody in the group was mining mithril. We didn't go any further. We just mined mithril. we came out with so much mithril that we were taking the mithril back and paying. We were getting stuff forged for us, armor, weapons, and blah 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 blah, and we were paying for it in mithril. So this town, which by the way, their economy wasn't that great, suddenly went on the mithril standard. People were walking around with mithril belt buckles and mithril this and mithril that because they had so much mithril coming out of their ears. And mithril is very expensive, so it translated to a boost for the local economy. Unfortunately, then it cost a room for the night that usually costs a silver piece was costing 8 or 10 gold. You see what I'm saying? Because people could afford it. You take advantage of things like that as a merchant back in the day. So let's not forget that the modern equivalents of game coinage. Let's look at it in our modern society. If a peasant earns a silver piece a day after taxes, then let's compare that to the base $10 an hour minimum wage that we have today. An 8-hour work day with a base of 25% tax rate, because you got to pay taxes. Say they charge 25%, that yields $60 a day. Because 8 hours at $10 an hour is $80. You take away a quarter of that for taxes. You're left with $60. Your take-home pay is going to be $60. Compare that to the 1 silver back in the day. So 1 silver equals about $60. Okay, it's a nice frame of reference. Now, that means that 1 gold piece in modern parlance is equivalent to $1,200. 1 copper piece is equal to $6. 1 platinum piece is equal to a whopping $6,000. Because one platinum piece is equal to 5 gold. Remember? Okay. So let's look at a typical adventure. Bob the Fighter has completed a quest for which he was paid 1,000 gold, which is a whopping $1.2 million in today's currency. He decides to live life high on the hog for a while. He's gonna live it up. Gets a nice room in a nice inn, pays a gold piece a night. That's $1,200 a night. It's a nice hotel, isn't it? Visit to the local, because most players do, visit to the local brothel. He's going to pay 3 gold pieces. That's $3,600. He's going to have a heck of a good time. And, of course, afterwards, you have to go to the visit to the local temple for a, just in case, a cure disease. That's another 100 gold pieces, because you gotta pay up for the healing. It's the tithe, as they call it. That's a whopping 120,000 gold. Visit to the local bathhouse, because he's got to get cleaned up afterwards. Runs a silver piece, which is a nice $60 bath. Going to come out smelling good, Then he's got some nice new clothes. Going to pay about 50 gold for those. That's another 60,000 gold piece, or $60,000. Excuse me. Yeah, that's like an Armani suit or whatever. So he's living it up, 3 meals and an ale every day runs about 6 silver. That's $360. So after a week of this pampering, he has spent 202 gold pieces and 1 silver piece, which is a whopping grand total of $242,460 in modern currency. Yeah. So when you get a player that tips a gold piece, he really likes to tip. Just saying. What do you think that is going to do to the local economy? Somebody spending that much money in the local economy? Yeah. That's going to generate some stuff. The other end of that scale is poverty. If the local economy is so poor that the peasants make only a copper piece a day, which, that's pretty piss poor, instead of that grand and glorious silver coin we used in the above example, then chances are they've never even seen a gold piece. And a platinum piece is literally unheard of. They wouldn't even know what platinum is. If the economy is that bad, they've never seen a gold piece and they don't know what a platinum piece is. They've heard of gold, they've never seen it. They've never even heard of platinum. A swordsmith charging 10 gold pieces for a sword in that economy is going to retain that sword for quite a while, because Nobody can afford to buy it. The free market dictates he lower the price or export the item to another city where people can afford that grand purchase, the grandiose price. All of these factors can affect your players in the game. Why are people so poor? Is the ruler an oppressive tyrant? Who taxes them into oblivion? Perhaps someone should overthrow him. You see, all of this creates opportunities for adventure for players. But you got to be careful how your players interact with the locals, because they could destroy an economy as easily as they can boost an economy. Players like Bob the Fighter, who throw around gold like copper and show off their wealth, are begging to be robbed, either at the shops with higher prices or in an alley at knife point. Either way, these player characters will affect the local economy, which in turn will affect them. You see what I'm saying? So, it may take a week or so for the economy to really adjust, but when you have a player character going in and spending gold where they've never even seen one before, yeah, it's going to affect the local economy. All that being said, remember, the whole point is to have fun. You got to have fun playing these games. If your players aren't having fun as the dungeon master, you're doing something wrong. It's better to understand not only the rules of the game, but how economies work, how the governments work, the ins and outs of the different fees and excises and tolls, that kind of thing. So when you get the opportunity, do a little bit of research. It'll help you out in the long run, I promise. And again, we need all the great dungeon masters we can get, and make sure your players are having some fun. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.